Hello, my name is Jack Bearden, and I'm a part of the RSM review team that has been assisting Dom with the administration of the NOFA 7 program. This video is tailored for NOFA 7 grantees that have not yet submitted their reimbursement claims. At the time of this recording, we are quickly approaching the point of 6 months remaining in the NOFA 7 program. Therefore, we wanted to take the opportunity to go over program guidelines and outline action items that each grantee can start working on now. So what is so special about September 30th, 2026? Hopefully this is not the first time you've heard of this date, as it is the final project deadline for this program. All NOFA projects must be completed and fully operational by September 30th, 2026. However, please note that you may have a contracted completion date that falls before September. Please take a moment to refer to the cover page of your grant agreement. In Section 5, there should be a space that details your individual completion date. If yours falls before September 30th, then please be aware that you're expected to meet the earlier date. If you have an approved project extension, which would have involved a formal amendment process, please take the time to review your new date. You are held to this date for completing your project, and you are expected to submit your final reimbursement materials on or closely around this date. There are no opportunities to extend your project's timeline beyond September 30th, so please be sure that you are actively tracking your project's timeline. If you feel at any point that your project is at risk of not meeting the September 30th deadline or your individual completion date, if yours is earlier, please reach out to us at the RSM Program Manager contact in Iowa Grants as soon as possible. September 30th is also the final day you can pay for your project expenditures, so please be sure you are keeping track of your payments too. Expenditures that are paid after September 30th will not be considered for reimbursement. Please do not put yourself at risk of not being able to include project expenses because of payment dates alone. Let's talk next about what you can do today to set your project up for success with the claims process. If you are unfamiliar with the claims process, an essential component of the reimbursement claim is the summary invoice. This is an Excel template where you will complete the data entry reporting for any expenses that you intend to claim. This is one of the most time-consuming components of the reimbursement claim, so starting this as early as possible is essential. While this video will not go over the steps of completing a summary invoice, please note there is a step-by-step instructional guide already available to you at the DOM Technical Assistance webpage. The summary invoice template can also be found on the Technical Assistance page on the DOM website. Additionally, the template was sent to all grantees on February 4th through Iowa Grants correspondence. If you have any project expenditures incurred to date that you intend to claim, please take the time to start drafting your summary invoice so that by the time your project is completed, you will just need to add the remaining expenditures. This will assist with a timely claim submission at project completion. Up to this point, the NOFA 7 program has followed a claims process where reimbursement claims are submitted at project completion. As we are in the home stretch, we will start accepting preliminary reimbursement claims for review. There are two possible routes available for preliminary claims. The first is partial expenditure review. This route would be for projects that are underway that cannot substantiate the full award after cost share application at this point in time. This opportunity will only be offered for projects that can substantiate at least half or 50% of the award amount after application of your awarded cost share. With partial expenditure review, several rounds of review will be necessary, so this route is more ideal for projects with longer remaining timelines. More on this will be discussed later. The other route is total expenditure review. This route will be for projects that are underway that can substantiate the full award after cost share application at this time. This would essentially mean that other than the GIS components, the total claim would be reviewed and validated prior to project completion. No matter what route is necessary for your project, please be aware that no payments will be made for any preliminary claims. Instead, the preliminary claim will be put in a holding status until your project is complete, the final GIS data is provided, and the DOM GIS team has validated your build-out. Additionally, both routes should be treated as if it is a traditional claim as much as possible, so please focus on valid, considerable NOFA 7 costs. Please do not submit minor immaterial expenses just to reach a threshold if you have larger expenditures that would be more beneficial to claim. Overall, the intent of this claims process adjustment is to help reduce the amount of time necessary for review at project completion. This will assist with faster claim closeouts, which ultimately will allow for quicker timelines for receiving payment. I will also note that a preliminary claim is not mandatory for your project. It is up to you to decide what will be the most effective use of time and effort. If your project is less than a month away from completion, then it is recommended to follow the claims process as usual rather than the preliminary route. Just remember that time is of the essence, so if there are any steps of the claim that you can complete prior to project completion, you are taking the time to do so. We will now walk through the 2 preliminary claim routes in greater detail. Let's first go over an example of partial expenditure review. Again, this route will be more relevant if you are not at the point where you can fully substantiate your award at this time. When I say fully substantiate, I mean able to provide adequate proof of purchase and payment support. Like mentioned, this route will entail multiple smaller expenditure reviews, all within the same claim. The summary invoice and expense files are to be updated as additional spend is submitted. If you choose this route, please keep in mind the timing of reviews. An adequate amount of time must be given for the review team to evaluate the submitted expenses before the next review. So again, this is more ideal for projects with longer remaining timelines. Please plan for a maximum of 3 reviews. The example roadmap is for a grantee who plans to use the maximum number of reviews. With the first submission, the grantee provides the minimum 50% of the award. With the second review, let's say a month later, the grantee submits an additional 25% of the award and costs. Finally, the grantee completes their project and submits the remaining 25% of the award and costs. It is understood that the value of your actual spend will not equate to clean percentages like these, so we will not impose strict guidelines on the amount of spend to be accepted with the second or third review. But again, we ask that you keep your project timeline in mind and decide the most effective use of time. It may make more sense to use 2 reviews rather than 3 if your project timeline is shorter. Please note that if you submit a partial claim, the review team may defer the review if the current expense total is too low to yield a meaningful review. Like you, the review team is working under tight timelines and aims to review claims as efficiently as possible. We will now go over an example of total expenditure review. If your project is underway and you are at a place where you can substantiate your full award, you may complete the reimbursement claim accordingly, and we will review all expenditures. As a reminder, your claim will be held until your project is complete and the GIS components are validated. Then your claim will continue towards payment processing. This is an overview of the 2 preliminary claim routes discussed. Feel free to pause the video here to review. If you have any questions of this process, please send them to the RSM Program Manager contact in Iowa Grants. If you do plan on submitting a preliminary reimbursement claim, you will need to indicate this in some fashion in the claim form. As the claim form is designed for completed projects, all fields are still required to be completed. Please use areas like the GIS certification statements and qualified certification to signify to the review team that this is a preliminary claim. Additionally, the GIS upload section will require file uploads. If your project is underway and this data is not available, please upload a quick Excel or PDF file that simply states this is a preliminary claim. The review team will stay in contact with you regarding project updates and coordinating when it is necessary to unlock the claim for further updates. I will now walk through several tips to consider when drafting your claim that can help streamline the review process. First, be mindful of the amount of expenses submitted. To avoid unnecessary processing, please submit only the expenses needed to substantiate your award after applying the cost share. The summary invoice header includes formulas that indicate the total amount required. Once it shows that your full award has been substantiated, you may stop entering expenses and proceed with submitting your claim. Next, focus on high-value expenditures. By prioritizing your highest cost expenditures first, you will reach the required substantiation more quickly. This approach reduces the total volume of expenses you need to submit and helps overall review timelines. Third, partial claims should be clearly documented. For any line items where only a portion of the cost applies to the NOFA project, please include clear written calculations that show the methodology used to formulate the claimed amount. Any missing or unclear calculations result in a follow-up. Next, prioritize external spend over labor costs. Historically, labor costs require more extensive documentation and tend to slow down claim processing compared to external spend. If using labor costs, claim wages utilizing base pay versus loaded rates. Often, choosing to claim internal labor using a fully loaded rate rather than base pay significantly increases processing time. As each payroll system operates differently, supporting loaded rates typically requires extensive documentation and often results in multiple follow-up requests. Therefore, if labor costs must be included for your award and you are able to achieve full payout using base pay, we strongly recommend doing so. Organize and review support. Ideally, the order of your expense support should mirror the summary invoice. Please ensure that all supporting documents are organized and easy for the review team to navigate, which includes confirming that the page numbers reported in the summary invoice are accurate. Additionally, review each document to confirm that it is clear and fully legible. We frequently receive support that is poorly scanned or cropped, preventing us from reviewing the complete page. Taking the time to organize and clean your documentation will help streamline processing and positively impact the timeliness of your claim. Lastly, be available. Once your claim is submitted, please be sure to monitor both your email and IO grants for updates from the review team. If we request additional documentation or clarification, timely responses are greatly appreciated. We understand that some items may take time to obtain and that not all documents are readily available. In those cases, a quick acknowledgement that you've received the request and are working on it is very helpful. Please note that most of these are recommendations and not requirements. We recognize that each project is unique and that some awardees may have limited flexibility in how funds are allocated. Please prepare your claim in the way that best supports maximizing your award, as achieving a full payout is a shared goal for you, DOM, and RSM. With that, I wanted to share some resources available to you. As always, the RSM team is here for any questions. Please use the correspondence portal and select RSM Program Manager Contact and Iowa Grants. If you would prefer to discuss over the phone, we would be happy to coordinate a virtual meeting. Please request a call in the correspondence portal and include some insight into the reason for the meeting and your available times. Additionally, like mentioned earlier, there is a NOFA 7 Grant Management Guide readily available on the DOM Technical Assistance page. We highly recommend reviewing that guide when drafting your claim, as it details step-by-step instructions for claim forms and other materials. Note that this guide does not cover the preliminary claims process discussed in this video. So if you have any questions related to that, please use the correspondence portal. To conclude, I want to thank you for your time and attention and your efforts bringing broadband service to the state of Iowa.